The Pokemon Legends Z-A DLC is not worth $30. I know, understatement of the year, right? The hottest of hot takes. But let me be super frank, as someone who loves the series and has supported the crap out of them over the years. This DLC is overpriced and sets a worrying tone for the future of the series. So let's talk about it. Normally, I do a whole background section, but it's freaking Pokemon. So instead, I want to touch on the series' history with DLC and expansions before discussing the Legends Z-A DLC. And for the record, we're not counting games like Pokken. That one was made by my nemesis Bandai Namco, and I will always have beef with them. Pokemon doing expansions of some sort after a mainline game releases is actually nothing new. Pokemon Crystal, Emerald, Platinum, all of these are updated versions of their original games and are arguably the best versions. They were priced around $30 USD at the time, which translates to roughly $55 USD when you adjust for inflation. And don't get me wrong, these were great games. I personally did not like Diamond or Pearl much, but Platinum turned my opinion of Gen 4 around entirely. Why weren't the original games this polished? And why did BDSP not pull from Platinum to begin with? They're all great games. The Unova era got full-blown sequels with a new storyline and new locations. Ultra Sun and Moon were definitely more finished versions of Sun and Moon. Now remember how Mina didn't actually have a trial for you in the original versions? Yeah. But also, why didn't the original games have these elements? This is all to say that Pokemon has been greedy from the start. There is, at least, value with their greed for these. I'm someone who hates resetting my Pokemon game, so I got to re-experience the games with the new releases, and maybe reset those since I felt less emotionally attached because I'd already been through them once. That's being generous, though. Look, you're buying a whole new game at a new game price point for what is essentially content you've already played. Pokemon Black and White 2 aside. That's kind of absurd when you think about it. So when they announced with Sword and Shield that they were releasing DLC, I was actually okay with that. The reason being, they've always released these expansions. At least this way, it adds on to the original game, so you're not starting from scratch. It was also priced at $30 USD, which is fine since we were paying $40 for Ultra Sun and Moon. With the Sword and Shield DLC, we got 2 new sizable maps and storylines with more Pokemon, including new ones and regional variants. This wasn't a case of, this should have been in the original game, but hey, we're expanding the original game. They were actual expansions. That's what a DLC should be, in my opinion. I will say that with Gen 8, they stopped including all of the Pokemon ever in the games, and theoretically, some of these Pokemon became gated behind paid DLC. However, anyone could have them, not just people with the DLC, and these games had the Wonder Trade feature and Pokemon Home connectivity pretty quickly, so you weren't truly locked out, though there could be some FOMO going on for sure. When Gen 9 rolled around, the Scarlet and Violet DLC was in a similar vein. 2 new sizable maps, with new and returning Pokemon and new storylines that had you actually engaging the world around you. Both of these DLC packs justified their price points with the sheer amount of content they added. And then we have Pokemon Legends Z-A. I'm fine with the game. It feels fun to play. It's a letdown from Legends Arceus for me because Lumiose feels more restricted. Pokemon only appear in certain spots and the spawns are more limited. PLA had 5 whole expansive maps for you to explore and find Pokemon in. In Legends Z-A, we get wild zones, and some are tiny. Cool. And don't get me wrong, I like this game. I was fine paying $60 for it because there's enough content to justify it. It's a fascinating concept, and I'm glad to see the series play with things and take risks. And it's nice to have a Capper to Kalos when, to me, it felt like we didn't really get that before. It's like we finally got Pokemon Z. The storytelling is good, and I love how lived in the world feels, with a lot of the side quests focusing on how people and Pokemon interact. And then the DLC dropped, and it's just more of the same and lazy, and it kinda sucks. Let me explain. The DLC adds in a whole new storyline, which, in fairness, is very well done. Ansha is a great addition with a fun link to Gen 6, and the return of Karina just rules. The idea of hyperspace Lumios is fascinating, and it's fun to see Hoopa's powers explored in an actual game. In terms of story, we do get a whole new questline with a couple new characters to explore. It also adds in a bunch of new side quests. So based on past DLCs, you would think that we'd get a whole new map, right? At least one, right? Right? Guys? So in Mega Dimensions, it just adds these liminal spaces in that are literally the same 3 to 5 maps repeating over and over again. Sometimes object placement is changed, but it's the same spaces, and they're pretty empty. Yeah, that's it. Okay, let's be fair. Sometimes you have a rogue mega encounter in them and can get a mega stone, but then there is quite literally nothing else in there. We have returning Pokemon and new megas that can randomly appear in these spaces, though nothing is ever guaranteed. But there's new side quests, right? Well, yes, but a lot of them are more of the same. There's literally nothing different from the original ones except for inserting new Pokemon here. It's like someone looked at the game and went, nah, put half of these side quests behind a paywall. Cool. And again, the story is interesting, but some of the battles just feel shoehorned and forced. The gameplay loop isn't even super compelling. You have to accumulate a certain amount of points by exploring these same old liminal spaces, and once you do, a mega battle unlocks. Then you get a story dump before getting your new target. It's the same loop as the base game, yeah, basically. And let's be fair, I wasn't wild about that either. It just feels very situational. It's not really building upon itself. Also, a personal gripe, but Maple gives you more research in the DLC without giving you any new rewards. This means I could have gotten that damn shiny charm without doing 1,000 battles. There was a better way of doing it. I could have excused the whole heck of a lot if they'd just given us another actual map. Okay, work with me here and picture this. They commit wholeheartedly to the whole otherworld scenario of hyperspace Lumios. We have a big, open map like we did in Legends Arceus, but it's Lumios. Heck, they could reuse the same assets with a different filter. But give us, like, the whole map, like an abandoned city to roam. They could keep the donut concept, giving you a certain amount of time to make progress in your expedition. And maybe as you progress, Hoopa finds new entry points and you unlock more of the city. They don't actually have to make a new map because they've already made it. But no, we got whatever this is. I will say, I like the new Mega Evolutions. I think the concept of Mega Absol Z is pretty dang neat. This series' mascot is finally getting its due, with Pikachu's evolution, Raichu, getting 2 Mega Evolutions. Mega Raichu X is cute. Fight me in the Denny's parking lot. But good lord, is this DLC lazy. It's lazy. It's not worth $30 USD. It's maybe worth $20, and even that's pushing it. You can add all the new megas and returning Pokemon you want, but the game itself has to be compelling to play. I love the Pokemon series, and I can, unfortunately, excuse a lot of the nonsense they do. I'm one of those people. I'm part of the problem, fully admitting that. And even I'm saying, wow, this ain't great given the price. My concern is that in the future, they'll continue this trend of laziness and just expect people to pay because it's Pokemon. Again, I'm okay with DLC for these games given the series' history, but it has to be more than this. DLC should expand on a game rather than being what seems to be like cut content shoved together in a package released less than 2 months after the base game came out. Anyway, I'm going back to shiny hunting in PLA and getting my ass beat by a giant Snorlax. Thank you guys so much for watching. If this is your first time seeing one of my videos, hi, I'm Jerry. I'm a variety streamer here on YouTube, and I play a bunch of different games and occasionally put out edited videos on topics like this. If you like what I'm doing, please consider subscribing and liking and commenting and all that good stuff that makes the YouTube algorithm happy. That'd be awesome. I'll see you next time.